If you saw last week's video, and if you didn't, you need to watch it next, you'll know that the WWE has pumped out a lot of garbage, not only in terms of wrestling product in the ring, but in terms of merchandise. You might think you're safe from World Championship Wrestling merchandise, as WCW has been dead for 15 years now, but alas, you'd be wrong. Just like genital warts, WCW merchandise isn't going away anytime soon, so if you're not careful, you might get stuck with some of the following stuff for Christmas. Sit back and take this all in as we show you some of the worst WCW merchandise ever released. We've even included a couple of items from Jim Crockett Promotions, the company billionaire Ted bought and renamed WCW. Some of them were just too bad to overlook. Number 1. WCW Play Money. If you're gonna waste your money on shoddy WCW merchandise, what more appropriate way than buying fake WCW money? Just like American money, this currency puts its crappiest figures on the high dollar amounts, and its best on the small denominations. In this case, Sting is on the $20 bill, Scott Steiner on the $10 bill, Lex Luger on the $5 bill, and Nature Boy Ric Flair on the $1 bill? Unfortunately, we don't get to see who's on the $50 or $100 bills, but I'm hoping logic follows, with Hulk Hogan being on the $50 bill and the Yeti being on the $100 bill. Number 2. Hulk Hogan's SHELLCORE candy dispenser. As you might imagine, this entire list could have been filled with Hulk Hogan merchandise, as he was WCW's go-to guy for most of the 90s. WrestleMania strives for excellence though, so we're gonna give you the very creme de la creme of crap of the Hulkster's merchandise. Anyhow, this looks like a poor man's version of the Pez candy dispensers. At the time, the WWF may have had a licensing deal with Pez, because otherwise, why the hell would anyone go out with this abomination? This is less a candy dispenser and more a recreation of what the Hulkster's character Hurricane Spencer from Thunder in Paradise would look like after a shotgun blast to the gut. If you want to take your Thunder in Paradise adventures to the next level, this one is for you. Number 3. Kevin Nash Light Up Head. Like the Hulk Hogan Hanging Intestines candy dispenser, this one is sure to horrify anyone, wrestling fan or not. According to the eBay listing, this was a prototype by a company called Trendmasters that thankfully never got made. This so-called likeness of Kevin Nash makes the Balrog from the Lord of the Rings look like Brad Pitt. Some people speculate this prototype even drove Eric Bischoff to madness after he saw it. While we can neither confirm or deny this, it would answer some questions such as the creation of the Kiss Demon and hiring Mark Madden to the announce crew. Number 4. Sting Telephone Race Car. Someone really couldn't make their mind up if they wanted to produce a Sting race car or a Sting telephone. So what did they do? They combined them into one ridiculous package. This old school phone looks like a race car with a Sting motif, but if you flip it over, it's a fucking telephone! That's where the hilarity ensues. If you have a kid running about, they may think that the car is a toy and yank it out of the wall, or worse yet, flip it over and start making calls to Zimbabwe or Haiti. This is a clear lose-lose proposition, similar to ordering Slamboree 2000 on pay-per-view. Number 5. Jeff Jarrett's SLAPNUT'S. Jeff Jarrett has always been an acquired taste for wrestling fans, but when it came to his ring attire, he had no taste. Whether it was his ridiculous light-up outfits in the WWF or his SLAPNUT'S catchphrase. For those who are wondering, the Urban Dictionary defines SLAPNUT'S as an incompetent person. Clearly the poor man's version of a much cooler word, jabroni. WCW decided that they had just discovered the merchandise goldmine they were looking for. After tapping out the NWO goldmine, they decided to slap SLAPNUT'S, no pun intended, on anything they could. In this case, they not only went with a jersey, but also a street sign that read SLAPNUT'S Boulevard? Number 6. WCW Thunder 1999 Complete Season Set. This is clearly a bootleg, but we have to ask ourselves, why would anyone go to the trouble of recording one of the worst shows in professional wrestling during WCW's dying days? Number 7. WCW Fly Buddies. The funny thing about professional wrestling is that promoters will license just about anything to make a buck. Here we have WCW Fly Buddies, a concept people are still trying to figure out. Supposedly, you fill these things with water, attach them to some sort of launching device, and watch the fun begin. This is great for someone who wants to show their wrestling fan friend or family member that they put absolutely zero thought into their gift giving. Number 8. WCW Slam Jam. In a world full of hyperbole, fans wondered if this early 1990s album could live up to the hype of greatest wrestling album ever. With songs like Don't Step to Ron and Steinerized, this album had as much chance as a Johnny B. Bad world title run. Number 9. Michael P.S. Hayes Off the Streets LP. In 1983, Freebird Michael Hayes recorded the song Bad Street to replace the Freebirds' use of Lynyrd Skynyrd's song Freebird. In hindsight, the song was actually pretty good, becoming the Byrds' de facto entrance song. The song was even sold in the aftermags like Pro Wrestling Illustrated. In 1987, Hayes decided to try his hand at a full-length album, the result being Off the Streets. While we can't attest the quality of the songs on the album, we can say that the album cover boasts Michael Hayes' exposed, unretouched color photo free in albums only. Said exposed photo consisted of Hayes lying down naked with a Confederate flag covering his Freebird. Fans can only wonder if a young Shawn Michaels saw this photo and decided to pose for Playgirl when he hit the big time. Number 10. Four Horsemen Vitamins. What wasn't there to like about the Four Horsemen? You had four globe-trotting, championship-winning, jet-setting and lady-killing wrestlers terrorizing the babyfaces of Jim Crockett Promotions. Their weekly beatdowns of the American Dream Dusty Rhodes was all they needed for an induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. With Nature Boy Ric Flair leading the pack, the Horsemen became one of the first heel groups to ever get a devoted following. Whilst JCP's merchandising department was nowhere near as savvy as the WWF, they did their best to exploit the fans. JCP would beat Vince McMahon's IcoPro supplements by several years when they released Four Horsemen Vitamins. The supplements came in two formats, one for energy and the other one for power and stamina. Now we know what made Ric Flair a 60-minute man, and how he cut those promos that simulated someone snorting a Scarface pile of cocaine. Number 11. Kevin Nash Car Air Freshener. All we can say about this one is that fans wish they sold this in arena size to air out that stink left by Nash's abysmal work in the ring. Number 12. WCW Cologne. You've probably heard the proverb, strike while the iron's hot. Give WCW credit for taking advantage of their popularity when they released every possible item under the sun. Otherwise, how would you explain the release of WCW Cologne? While we can't confirm the cologne was bought by the late Saddam Hussein for his chemical weapons program, we can confirm that it's available at Amazon.com for the low price of $209.99. The review says it all, makes me smell like I'm having the greatest night in the history of my sport. They should have changed it to a great smell for picking up ring rats. Number 13. WCW Motorsports T-shirt. Back when You Might Be a Redneck was considered pure comedy gold, WCW decided to cross-promote wrestling by sponsoring race cars and at one point even sponsoring NASCAR racers. WCW pressed its luck further when they released WCW Motorsports t-shirts, shirts so ugly blind people would even turn away. WCW even released a WCW NASCAR racing jacket in 1999. A word to the wise, don't wear the WCW Motorsports shirt and racing jacket together, or you might end up on the watch list at the Southern Poverty Law Center. Number 14. Hulk Hogan's PASTAMANIA. If the thought of a Hulk Hogan themed Italian restaurant isn't enough to make you queasy in the stomach, consider that two of the items on the menu were called Hulk U's and Hulkaroos. With names like these, it seems certain your stomach would be no-selling the food faster than Hogan no-selling a powerbomb from Vader. Fortunately, the restaurant didn't last long enough, sparing many of the city's sewage treatment plants. Number 15. WCW Window Crashers. According to an unreliable internet source, these items came after about Hulk Hogan remarked that Cat Garfield never put any asses in the seats. While we don't know if the Hulkster confused comic strip Garfield with WCW's mascot Wildcat Willie, we do know that WCW licensed these plush figures to slap on your window, just like people did with Garfield. The Hulkster even had a sign that read, "So you wanna fight?" A great way to get beat up while you're driving through the wrong part of town. That's nothing though compared to the Kevin Nash one, which has him holding what can be only described as a Kevin Nash sized dildo in his hand and a sign that reads, "Is that all you got?" Any chance of people wanting these plush window stick-ons went out the window once they slapped those sayings on. WrestleManiacs, we don't want to ruin your holidays, but these are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to outrageously bad WCW merchandise. Dare we release more? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to enter into the contest, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.